Have you ever wondered how a conflict as devastating as the Tigray War could have started? Well, to understand that, we need to travel back to the year 2020. Ethiopia, a country known for its rich cultural heritage and diverse ethnic composition, found itself standing on the precipice of a catastrophic conflict. The seeds for this conflict were sown when the political climate in the country began to heat up, and tensions started to simmer. You see, the man at the helm of affairs, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, was once hailed for his efforts towards peace. However, his popularity started to wane as he faced criticism for delays in elections and the handling of ethnic tensions. The friction between the central government and regional security forces was palpable, with each side viewing the other with suspicion and mistrust. A key player in this unfolding drama was the Tigray People's Liberation Front, a powerful group from the northernmost region of Ethiopia. They had a long history of conflict with the central government, and this strained relationship was a ticking time bomb waiting to go off. The tension escalated into a full-blown conflict when the central government decided to crack down on these regional security forces. Former allies turned into enemies overnight, and the stage was set for a clash that would reverberate through every corner of the nation. And so, the stage was set for a conflict that would disrupt the lives of millions. This was the beginning of the Tigray War, a war that would leave an indelible mark on the pages of Ethiopian history. It's a stark reminder that even in the 21st century, political power struggles can lead to devastating consequences. As the conflict escalated, so did the atrocities and human rights abuses. The landscape of the Tigray War was riddled with major battles and turning points that marked its progression. It wasn't just a war over territories, it was a war that tested the essence of humanity. Alleged war crimes and ethnic cleansing became the grim chapters of this conflict. Reports of mass killings, forced displacements and sexual violence echoed across the region. The smoke of war carried stories of despair, painting a bleak picture of the state of human rights. The war, however, was not confined within the borders of Ethiopia. It drew in external parties, further complicating the situation. These external influences played a significant role in shaping the course of the war, weaving a complex web of alliances and enmities. The international community, on the other hand, was not a mere spectator. There were responses, but these were often mired in diplomatic language and political maneuvering. Calls for ceasefires, sanctions and investigations were made, yet the impact of these measures on the ground was a different story altogether. The war also became a battle of narratives. The Ethiopian government, regional forces and external parties all tried to control the narrative, each presenting their version of the truth. The information war was as fierce as the physical one, with misinformation and propaganda becoming weapons in their own right. In the midst of this, the Ethiopian people found themselves caught in a crossfire of bullets and narratives. Their lives were upended, their homes became battlegrounds, and their realities were distorted by the war's conflicting narratives. The war was not only fought on the battlefield, but also in the hearts and minds of the Ethiopian people. It was a war that challenged their identity, their unity and ultimately, their future. While the war raged on, another crisis was quietly unfolding in the background. In the shadow of the explosive clashes and political turmoil, the people of Ethiopia found themselves in the midst of a devastating humanitarian crisis. The war, with its ruthless aggression and relentless power struggles, had left deep scars on the face of the nation. But the wounds inflicted upon the everyday lives of its people were even more profound. As the conflict escalated, millions were displaced from their homes, forced to seek refuge wherever they could. Families, torn apart by the war, found themselves scattered across the country, living in makeshift shelters, far from the comforts of home. And for many, the concept of home became a distant memory, a painful reminder of a life they once knew. But displacement was just the tip of the iceberg. The war had also disrupted access to basic necessities. Food, clean water, medical supplies. These lifelines became scarce as the battle lines advanced. Starvation loomed large over the displaced populations, and malnutrition claimed the lives of countless innocent civilians. Hospitals, already stretched thin, struggled to cope with the influx of war victims and the rampant spread of diseases. In these desperate times, aid organizations stepped in, trying to alleviate the suffering. These brave souls faced enormous challenges, not just logistical, but also political. Delivering aid in a war zone is no easy task. Their convoys were often caught in the crossfire, their supplies raided, their efforts thwarted by the chaos of the conflict. Yet, they persevered, driven by their unwavering commitment to humanity. Despite these grim circumstances, there was a ray of hope. Amidst the devastation, the resilience of the Ethiopian people shone through. They rallied around each other, sharing what little they had, providing comfort in times of despair. This spirit of solidarity, this determination to survive, is a testament to the strength of the human spirit. In the face of such adversity, the resilience of the Ethiopian people shone through. This resilience, however, is not a solution to the crisis, but a call to action for the world to step in, to offer aid, and to work towards a peaceful resolution. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about surviving the war, but about building a future beyond it. In November 2022, the Tigray War officially came to an end, but its effects are still being felt. With the close of this devastating conflict, Ethiopia found itself in a precarious state of recovery, grappling with the aftermath of a war that had shaken the nation to its core. The end of the war didn't mean the end of challenges. Ethnic tensions, which had long simmered beneath the surface, had been brought to a boil by the conflict. The Amhara and Oromia militias, once embroiled in their own clashes during the war, continued to pose threats to the fragile peace. The central government, under the leadership of Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, faced a daunting task: to restore stability while addressing the grievances that had led to the outbreak of the war in the first place. And then, there was the issue of rebuilding. Entire communities had been displaced, infrastructure destroyed, and lives uprooted. The rebuilding efforts were, and continue to be, a Herculean task, requiring significant resources and time. But amidst the rubble, there was resilience. Ethiopians from all walks of life rolled up their sleeves to restore their country, brick by brick, heart by heart. The international community too had a role to play in this process. Humanitarian aid poured in, with countries and organizations stepping up to provide support. This aid, while crucial, was only a band-aid solution. For Ethiopia to truly heal, it needed more than just financial assistance. It needed political support and diplomatic intervention to address the root causes of the conflict and prevent future outbreaks of violence. Looking forward, the future of Ethiopia hangs in the balance. The country stands at a crossroads, with the potential for a brighter, more peaceful tomorrow, or the risk of falling back into the cycle of conflict. The journey towards peace and reconciliation is fraught with challenges, but it's a journey that Ethiopia must undertake. While the war may be over, the journey towards peace and reconciliation is just beginning. So, what can we learn from the Tigray War? As we round up our discussion, it's crucial to revisit the key takeaways from this complex conflict. The Tigray War was not merely a battle between opposing forces. It was a painful testament to the human cost of war, as millions were displaced and countless lives were irrevocably shattered. The conflict, marked by alleged war crimes and ethnic cleansing, was a stark reminder of how quickly peace can crumble in the face of political and ethnic tensions. It underscored the importance of diplomacy and dialogue in resolving disputes, and the perils of delayed action in averting humanitarian crises. But amidst the chaos and despair, the resilience of the human spirit shone through. People banded together, surviving against the odds, their determination a beacon of hope amidst the turmoil. Understanding such conflicts is not just about dissecting political strategies or military tactics. It's about recognizing the human stories behind the headlines and the global implications of these localized clashes. As we reflect on the Tigray War, let us not forget the lessons it has taught us about the fragility of peace and the resilience of the human spirit.